Well, hello and good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dram Antique Society. And tonight I'm going to taste a couple from a Rothes Distillery, which is sometimes overlooked. SPEYBURN. We've got SPEYBURN 15-year-old 46% and SPEYBURN 18-year-old 46%. And it's understandable why SPEYBURN is sometimes overlooked, because there's many distilleries nearby which have a visible presence. SPEYBURN is hidden away in a valley just outside of Rothes. And until recently you couldn't visit the distillery, so not many whisky drinkers were able to form any sort of connection to SPEYBURN. But it's now open to the public. And it turns out that the SPEYBURN Distillery is quite a looker. When the distillery expanded in 2014, the staff took it upon themselves to sort of refurbish the place. It's an older yet impeccably well kept distillery, and it sometimes evokes images of Strathila with its rafter roofs and collar beams. And not just that. The distillery has things to offer that you don't encounter anywhere else. Most importantly, the defunct drum maltings, which were decommissioned in 1968 and have remained untouched since. And when you enter SPEYBURN's drum maltings, it's like stepping back into time. They're part of the tour and make a visit worthwhile just by itself. And the second thing is SPEYBURN's whisky doesn't have a great reputation. But no matter your feelings towards SPEYBURN whisky, a distillery visit should be top of your list. It's suitable for geeks and newcomers alike. There aren't many distilleries that volunteer to have you taste or wash. You generally have to ask, and even then you often get a puzzled look. Not at SPEYBURN, they have neat little tasting cups at the ready. So let's put SPEYBURN's reputation to the test. I've tasted the 10-year-old in the past, so we're going to try the 15 and 18 tonight. So I've got two little Master of Malt drinks by the Dram samples. This is the 15-year-old, matured in ex-American and ex-Spanish oak casks, so a mix of bourbon and sherry. I believe that they're unchill filtered at 46%. Why would you? And I'm not sure about colouring. There's nice tears on it. And you do get quite a blast of fresh flowers. And then you get thick honey and orange cordial and some eucalyptus and lemon bonbons and some wood spices, but they're in the background. And warm oak again in the background. And you get thick caramel with sweet oranges and a fragrant floral note and honeyed porridge, roasted peanuts and a touch of copper, and a hint of damp soil too. Very fruity, zesty lemons, tangerines, grapefruit and mango, with toffee and vanilla, and sultana and raisins, just a little before going back to the fruits. Basically, this is a big fruit salad. Try the mouth. very, very sweet. But it's not sickly. Ripe apricots, butterscotch syrup, creamy toffee and honey. And the lemon is still there, but it's sweet lemon, as in a limoncello kind of way. And that brings a balanced lick of freshness to it. And it hints at the mildest of effervescence. And all the while it stays full, mouth coating and thick. You get peanut skins, barley husks, and bitter chocolate, and there's some tobacco alongside that, and some slight polished leather, the sherry cask influence, of butterscotch and cured lemons, and a bit of charred oak, and tea leaves and cardamom. There's plenty of fruitiness and a curious bready, yeasty note underneath that. Green apples, mead. There's a little bit of ginger, and then you get sultanas, dried apricots, custard cream biscuits. It's chocolatey, chewy, and there's stacks of vanilla once the dried fruit drifts away. And it's a medium to long finish, and that keeps the sweet lemon going. And that curious green note makes an appearance, which makes you want to go back for more. And it's slightly leafy, somewhat herbaceous, and you get lingering spices too, and it ends on a sweeter vanilla note. I'm going to put a mill in this. You can see the congeners forming there again, highlighting that it's non-chill filtered. And again, it's got that nice tears. And the water brings a green note. It's like flower stalks or nettles. And it's fruity as well, but you now get spice. It's quite tart, grassy notes, and the fruits are more peach and apricot, perhaps a hint of yellow plum. And it's like you've been pruning a small tree. You get the small branches and leaves, but it's not terribly woody. And there's some earthy mineral aspects, but a little bit of dirt under the fruit. Try them out. And there's wood with a slightly chocolatey tones and a malt and a little caramel. The fruit stays in the background, but there's also a slightly bitter mineral aspect. With water, it lacks the fruity notes that are more evident in the nose with water. And the finish is a slightly peppery spiciness, which, of course, the alcohol does that, but there's a light woody spiciness and mineral dryness, but there's also a light malty sweetness in the palate. I'm not sure I get what the negativity about Speyburn is amongst many of the aficionados. As the glass drops, the rich and full experience reveals more detail as the floral and fresh elements challenge the fruit and sweetness. And it turns things slightly tropical on occasion. It's a modern whisky, but it's a well put together one. Despite a little European oak complementing the American oak, it's probably going to please those of a bourbon maturation bent more than a sherry persuasion. But I think it's an excellent malt, an excellent 15-year-old. And it's a good space cider. It shouldn't be anywhere near your bottom shelf. I'll cleanse my palate with a McKillop's oat cake from Riddles. So, this is the 18-year-old. Again matured in American oak and Spanish oak cask for 18 years before being bottled at 46% ABV. And it is a tad darker than the 15-year-old, so I'm not sure it's got colour added. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it has nice, quite a thin tight line there. And it's got a rich toffee, sugar coated almonds, and a sort of sweet, fresh tropical fruits, along with toffee apples. And there's whispers of smoke from the cask, I think. And there's a mixture of reddish fruits, oak spices, and vanilla influences, cloves, maybe some cardamom. But you also get raspberries and cherries and apricots. And then whispers of grist, meringue, like a meringue on a pavlova and sourdough. I like this note. It's very good. And you get green apple and crisp pear mingling with caramel, toffee, and plenty of dried fruit. Think of raisins, sultana, and prunes. And there's also a lovely milk chocolate and honeyed aromas, and hints of cocoa powder, orange oil, and dusty wood spices. Let's try the mouth. And you get luxurious melted dark chocolate, balanced by a hint of citrus and a touch of oak spiciness. It's mouth coating but dry. There's a fair number of tannins here, but also tobacco leaves, strawberry, and cocoa powder. There's touches of honey, and certainly you get some oak spices and a pinch of white pepper. Plenty of sweetness and fruitiness up front, as there was on the nose. Imagine caramelised apple, or like being at the fairground and you've got won a toffee apple with some golden syrup and plenty of dried fruits. And sultanas are around again, and they're joined by chocolate coated raisins and brandy soaked prunes with a hint of candied orange peel. and some crumbly brown sugar which add depth. The chocolate-like characteristic really begins to develop in the second half of the palate. There's an evolving malty quality that just sits underneath the main elements. And its a combination that's reminiscent of a good chocolate biscuit. And then you get a hint of poached pear, fresh vanilla pod, butterscotch sauce, and a pinch of cinnamon, and a final suggestion of gingerbread and white pepper evolves. Quite a bit smoky, the finish. Reasonably long, and it's slightly bittersweet. Slight nuttiness, aniseed, and cinnamon. You get a sort of drying, dusty wood spices that begin to shine once the sweeter and fruitier notes begin to fade. There's a distinct oaky note now that's supported by cinnamon bark, a hint of toasted almond, and a whiff of delicate and soft peatiness from the cask, I suspect. We'll try a mill of water in this. Don't want to add too much water to a 46% whiskey. And now it's we get a candied orange and almost brown butter. It's you get slightly not struck match, but slightly over melted butter, caramel, toffee, and apricot jam. Dried fruits, cloves, cherry, leather, chocolate, caramel, coffee, honey, mandarin, and a little touch of menthol there. Try them out. It's quite sweet again. Candied orange, amber, honey, a little bit of pepper spice with back notes of lemon, verbena, cocoa, and there's a judicious amount of smokiness in this. It's got a wonderful chocolatey taste, paired with honey, cherry, currants. Red fruits, possibly strawberry, red currants, and a little apple and pepper there as well. It's shorter to finish. So nice, quite mild. The finish is like the palate, but it's a little nut and a cool menthol aroma there. So Speyburn 18-year-old, it's a good step up from the 15-year-old. It probably benefited from either a longer period in Spanish oak or a higher proportion of Spanish oak casks. It's not a sherry bomb by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a composed sherry influencing malt. I think it's a lovely whiskey. It exhibits classic Speyside characteristics. It's soft, gentle, plenty of sweetness and green orchard fruit. And they've been well maintained despite the increased age. The maturation of this one is clear towards the sherry cask end of the scale. And those barrels have given the whisky a delicious caramel-like sweetness with some delicious dried fruits and woody spices. All in all, this is a very nice whisky. It's not spectacular, but it's very easy drinking and enjoyable, and well worth a try, especially given its competitive price. Many 18-year-old single malts from Speyburn's competitors are now at least £100, if not considerably more than that. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.